After a day off on Sunday, the Cowboys take the practice field again, and that means we are back with Training Camp Live, presented by American Airlines. Alongside Isaiah Stanback, I'm Kyle Yeomans. Let's take a look at the trenches today, shall we? That's exactly what a lot of fans have their eyes on.
There's a lot of moving parts in there right now, man. We need to find out exactly who's going to step into the fold at the right guard position, or what's going on at the left tackle position as well. Is it going to be Tyron Smith, or is it going to be, let's go? We got a lot of guys that are rolling in there right now.
So we're going to look at the trenches here. We got the first team offensive line going up against the first team defensive line, and we get some – this is just running the ball. This is called 9-by-7, and, I mean, you talk about 9 defenders. You got 7 offensive players, and you just get after it a little bit.
Absolutely, man. This is going to be the 4 down guys, the 3 linebackers typically, and not necessarily in this defense. And then you have your safeties that are involved in this versus just the 5 offensive linemen plus the running back plus the tight end. So this is all about offensive linemen, make sure they get their fits. Defense is usually going to win this drill, just pure numbers alone, but you're likely to see your guys get up to the second level.
Hand off to Deuce Vaughn. Both DeMarvion Overshone and Jonathan Hankins getting in there, the stuff, the run. And again, this is back to what we've talked about on Training Camp Live previously. It's a lot about first contact. Where does the first touch, the first contact,
Correct.
Where is that made on these running backs? Because, of course, they're not breaking tackles. But that's where you want to see the offensive line to build a hole enough to where a running back can squeeze through.
Yeah, you're just trying to see some movement. I mean, you see right now you got Quentin Bohanna, and you also have what else you got in there? Well, there he is.
Not a great rep.
There
you got Bohanna
Big
getting in there.
Big bowl. So you don't want to see that as offensive lineman, right? You want to be able to combo block, go shoulder to shoulder with your center and your guard, work up to the next level. But you got plays like that by an amazing defensive line that are going to make it difficult for you here in practice.
Sam Williams back out there as well. Malik Jefferson, who's had a great camp so far, really. Jefferson, of course, former very high draft pick was picked up in the middle of the season last year trying to build some of that depth. There's a referee throwing a flag from behind. I believe there was an early jump there.
Yeah, and they're going to run that play back. But, it's right before that play kicked off, we were talking about Quentin Bohanna, and right next to him is Neville Gallimore. But those are both the guys that are going to have amazing preseason games in order to show up even on this roster going into the season.
You talked about the competition. I could hear Sam Williams from the sideline saying, this is too easy.
Ooh.
I mean, there's the trash talk
There
going back and forth. He's going up against a couple of tight ends here.
Ooh.
Good rush off the edge. They went to the left side, though.
And that was a great job by the rookie DeMarvion Overshone. Go ahead and shedding the block by Chuma Edoga, who was able to work up to the next level. But when those linebackers come in, you got to be able to make some contact, shed the block, and come downhill and get your fit against the running back.
Let's watch DeMarvion Overshone if he is out there on this next snap. Looks like he is not. He's going to take a bit of a breather.
They got Jabril Cox is in there.
Better hold that time up front. Good job on that offensive line. Brock Hoffman was the one that set the lead block, and it allowed for the running back to squeeze through. Yeah, this is the first team offensive line getting back out there. You're not going to see any of these guys probably going into week 1 of the preseason on Saturday. You might see a couple guys.
You might see a couple. It's actually going to be kind of interesting to see exactly what goes on. As you take a look at the right side of the offensive line there, Terrence Steele, obviously coming off an injury. Are they going to allow for him to get his legs underneath him in the preseason, or are they going to just hold off until the regular season?
Another flag. That's a third flag thrown in 4 plays. And the defense, again, Mozzie Smith plowing some guys over, getting in the middle. And that's the thing. It won't necessarily show up on the stat sheet, but he was the one that kept things muddied up for the guys around him to fly free.
Man, look at this. This is Mozzie Smith, Osa Digizua, D. Law, and who we have over there on the other end right now. It looks like Dante Fowler in there as well. And then you put Damone Clark and Leighton Vander Esch right behind us. That's tough to deal with as an O-line.
Little sweep going to the right-hand side. Again, Leighton Vander Esch and Damone Clark coming downhill.
Terrence Steele's over there looking for a flag. He's saying it was a hand to the face. I'm not sure he's going to get that in practice.
No, I would normally agree with you, but you also see 3 flags in the last 5 plays, so maybe he does get it in practice.
He might have a case. Have a case. Looks like the 1 O-line versus the 1 D-line. Mm-hmm. Again, you got Mozzie Smith and Osa Digizua right there on the inside.
Devin Harper back behind at linebacker.
Pulled. Ooh, right in the back.
Good job by Mozzie. Mozzie just bounced off of Tyler Smith and then went to the left. Osa Digizua was already there, too.
He was already there as well, getting in the backfield. But one of the things you heard about Mozzie Smith is that he's been getting off the ball late. Yes. I don't think that was the case right there, as he was 2 yards in the backfield.
How fun is it for these linebackers? I know you were an offensive guy, but as a linebacker, I'm sure seeing an investment made in front of you is just a godsend.
Absolutely it is. And you think about some of the most explosive defenses in the history of the NFL, usually there's a great interior defensive lineman presence there. So having those guys right there in the interior defensive line holding off those offensive centers and guards from working up to you allows our fast linebackers, we got large and fast linebackers, to be able to free flow, meaning that the guys who are responsible for them can't get to them, so they can get in the backfield and make some plays.
Let's watch number 14 on the second level here, Jabril Cox. Lots of eyes on him throughout this preseason and throughout training camp. He came downhill a little bit, made a play.
Yep, absolutely. And again, we just talked about the offensive linemen trying to get to the second level, but they can't because of the defensive line presence. It allows for fast linebackers like Jabril Cox to then come downhill, be decisive, see the play, make the play. That's a positive play for the defensive line there.
How much pressure is on Jabril Cox this season to really show out? Going into year number 3, he's been dealt – he's having to dealt with injuries the first 2 years, and then you turn around and, now he's expected to take a bigger role.
Yeah, whenever you're a draft pick, you usually get the first 2 years.
Yeah.
they give you a little bit of leash for those first 2 years, but in that third year they want to see you show up. And this is the one position group that probably doesn't have as much depth as others on this team, but they still need him to show up in a big way.
So he's gotten an opportunity, but he also has the pressure that comes along with that opportunity.
They've drafted a linebacker the last 2 years at his position. Then you got Damone Clark that came in last year, and you got Demarion Overshown that came in this year. So they have guys in the lineup ready to take his role if he doesn't step up.
That might have been the best rep for the offense in this drill so far, going off to the right-hand side. Nice block left outside, and Quinton Bohanna got washed off of his spot. Because of that, Malik Davis was able to cut to the left and make a nice run up the middle for a big gain.
Absolutely.
All right, now we roll into team drills as the intensity ramps up. You can feel the energy. Just a bit of a TV timeout following the trenches on the offensive line and defensive line, and they go right back to the ground. Malik Davis had a nice little hole to run through before Leighton Vander Esch got there.
Hey, the offense will take that all day long. They were able to work up to the second level. Sean McCune was trying to hold off a block on Leighton Vander Esch, allowing Rico to get up to the next level. That was nice.
Yeah, nice job for Davis on the carry.
Oh, that was Davis, my fault.
Rico's had a great camp, though, and here he is in the backfield now to the straight back, actually, from Dak Prescott as he goes under center. 2 receivers to the right, tight end in motion as well. They'll give it to Rico Dowdle. Nice. Dowdle, nice cut up the middle. It looked like there was no hole forming, but he was still able to find a couple extra yards.
He's able to show some patience. That was a nice little counter ran by the offense. They pulled not only the guard, but they pulled the tight end as well. They both inserted into the interior offensive line, worked up to the next level, free 5 yards.
There's some talking back and forth. Okay. Is that Brock Hoffman talking
Brock
with
Hoffman.
Micah Parsons?
I think he's on the opposite side, Kyle. He doesn't have to deal with him one-on-one.
He's playing right guard, and Micah Parsons is lining
Left
up
in.
over Tyron Smith.
It's like talking mess, so your big brother Tyron can take care of business for you.
I like the intensity, though. I'm okay with it. Little play action there from Dak as he faked it to Davis. Micah got in there again, and Dak had to escape.
Hey, but kudos to Brock Hoffman. Just finished talking some friendly mess, and then he had to go up against the first-round pick, Mozzie Smith, and held his own.
Great job. And honestly, Tyron did what he could with Micah Parsons to delay that, but there was nothing open downfield, and Dak had to just tuck it.
Yeah, you got to tuck it and go. But talking about Brock Hoffman, he's working in with the ones right now at the right guard position.
You can have that conversation all you want. He's a second-year player out of Virginia Tech who is listed as a center, but he had some center guard flex as a rookie. There's Deuce Vaughn on the screen game. Nice turn up field.
That's good stuff.
Working behind Jalen Tolbert, Simi Fehoko. Crowd likes to see Deuce have some success.
Absolutely like to see it, man. That's the greatest representation of the everyday person. You got somebody who's out here who's 5'5", running around, hiding behind big brothers who are literally 200 pounds heavier than them, and he's doing a great job of just getting up to the next level. And you can't find him. He's like playing hide and go seek.
And again, we talked about it earlier in the show, but that first contact was about 9 or 10 yards downfield, so very close to a first down. Cooper Rush now in there with the twos. Yep. Hand off, and somebody got around him. Sam Williams was there.
He was unblocked. They were trying to run another counter, and sometimes when you run a counter, you're pulling guys. That backside defensive end is able to roam free. He did a good job just staying with his responsibility and working his way down the D-line.
Great to see Sam Williams have that explosion off the line of scrimmage. He dealt with a shoulder injury earlier in camp, missed a couple of days. He was back on Saturday, looked solid on Saturday, but now he looks like he's 100%.
Yeah, absolutely. And here you are again with this 2 defensive line, but them guys are beasts as well. No breaks for the O-line.
No, none at all. Good penetration. TJ Bass had to get outside to try and get Sam Williams, but he got tripped up in the process. Deuce Vaughn was there for a little bit of help as the play goes the opposite direction.
You're going to see a lot of that right there, Kyle. Play action. If this offense can figure out a way to get this ball moving consistently on the ground, defenses are going to get honed in, try to come downhill. That's when you hit them with misdirection, come out for easy passes to Sean McEwen up the sideline.
We talked about the first team being in there a couple of snaps ago. This is a lot of what the Cowboys will put on the field Saturday against Jacksonville at AT&T Stadium. This is going to be a good representation of the personnel used in that first preseason game. Dowdle bounces to the outside. Nice. Nashawn Wright steps up to touch up Dowdle after about a 3-yard gain.
That's a good job. And you're going to see some of these backup tight ends really start getting their reps in right now. Kyle, you talk about the Seth Greens of the world. You got the Stevensons. All those guys are going to have to really show up because they're really voting for an opportunity at that last tight end spot.
Yeah, you have Stevens, you have Fant, you have Seth Green, who was on the practice squad last year. A number of guys that you need to come through and have good years as tight ends. Let's pick somebody to focus on here. Who do you want to focus on?
Man, let's go ahead and go to the interior right there with Neville Gallimore. He needs to have a big year this preseason as well.
Looked good throughout camp so far. Looks to have an extra step after dealing with injuries both in 2021 and 2022.
Ooh,
got that initial punch from Tyler, but look at Gallimore going over the top.
Oh, that was the right man to
focus on. He was trying to make
a
play. Yeah, that was a good call on your part.
Yeah,
went over the top of Devin Harper. Harper got underneath him, and then Gallimore had already elevated to try and make a touch-up.
I know WWE SummerSlam was this past weekend, but he came off the top rope on that one. And you'd like to see him try to stay up, but he swim moved and did a good job of getting Tyler Smith off him at the line of scrimmage, and he just worked his way down to the ball.
Super Slam 2.0 from Neville Gallimore. Gotta love the effort, though. It was there. First team defensive line back in there. Hankins and Mozzie Smith. Big boy package.
Good job, O-line.
The O-line still won that battle. Tyler Smith laid the block. Tyler Biotish handled Mozzie Smith quite well.
Yeah, Tyler Biotish. You had Tyler Smith and Tyron Smith both working hand-in-hand together. Those are two strong human beings that you like to see working in continuity. It's hard to get off a block when you have those two guys blocking you simultaneously.
There was a hole to run through, like we've already mentioned, but you had Rico Dowdle hit that hole. I want to talk about his vision here in a couple seconds, but let's watch this rep here with Malik Davis.
Let's look at this left end position here. Micah Parsons.
Doga and Micah Parsons. A little misdirection.
That's good.
Getting crafty with the play calls today.
They are. They're starting to turn it up a little bit. You're starting to see them expand a little bit on the base offense. On that play right there, Micah Parsons was unblocked, but he had a responsibility to Dak Prescott. They have that RPO option. He has to respect it.
Good read from Dak, turned into a nice gain. Rico Dowdle back in there. One thing I have been impressed with has been his vision, the way that he's able to see a hole before it develops and then hit it as soon as it does. He's shown that throughout camp, and I truly believe it will go into the preseason. He'll have a nice showing.
I believe so as well. He's a big back as well, man. Not only is he quick and he's explosive, but that dude has some size on him.
5'11", but 218. They say he's actually more closer to 225. Parsons got in there. That would have been a sack. Throw downfield. Knocked away at the last second.
See, and that's one of my question marks going into this year, too. As you see Rico Dowdle get a pat on the head. He did a good job identifying his protection responsibility in Damone Clark. But as Damone Clark approached the line of scrimmage, you got to sit your hips down and you got to deliver a blow. That's something that Ezekiel Elliott did an amazing job of, and it's kind of left a hole at the running back position in terms of who's going to be the next pass blocker.
Even though that would have been a sack, Dontario Drummond had a chance to catch that ball. Israel Mukwamu got a hand in there to break the ball free. Play action, nobody home. They got it to Hendershot. Nice first step from Hendershot to create some space, but you had Prescott rolling out, and he was being chased by both Parsons and DeMarcus Lawrence.
Yeah, you see Sean McEwen right now kind of give himself a pat on the leg. I think he might have missed the assignment on that one, unfortunately.
So we got to see a lot of the trenches today here on Training Camp Live. Overall, Isaiah Stanback, Kyle Yeomans. I mean, going into the week, you're going to start seeing that play calling ramp up. You're going to see the intensity ramp up because at some point you get tired of going against the same guy every day.
You're going to get tired of going against the same guy, but these coaches also need to start preparing their guys that are going to be voting for positions. Yeah. You need to see them in this really high-intensity environment. So as those guys start getting prepared, you're going to start getting a pretty good sense of who's going to be out there competing in the preseason.
Lots of fun throughout this one on Training Camp Live. We'll be back on Tuesday to go through it again. How about that? We'll be right back. One last one with Isaiah, but he'll be in the booth for all 3 preseason games, starting with Saturday, 4 p.m. Central Time on CBS from AT&T Stadium. But for Alex Lilly, for Isaiah Stanback, I'm Kyle Yeoman saying so long. We'll see you next time on Training Camp Live.